What's going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to another SLA video. Folks, Christopher Reed Day is here and we're going to talk all about him. But before I even begin that conversation, remember to support your boy at the Content Creator Program, guys. We've been giving out codes every single day. Brand new code just got released for Mana Power Elixirs 3s, 5 of those, and Powder of Blessing times 300. And we got more codes on the way. It's free to support. It's pinned in every single description and every single chat window plus comment section. So hit that support button, support your boy. Now, is our boy worth it? So here's what I did that's a little bit different this time around, okay? Just so everyone is aware, you can go check out the full video on the live stream. The full testing is there, but we did actually summon for him and do testing for him on our free-to-play account. That's right, I was so confident this time around that I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to bother pay to win. I'm going to go straight to free-to-play. And yes, we did get him to A5 with free-to-play with only 270 summons, which took me 34 tickets and about 50,000 essence stones to get him to that point. So really lucky. I only lost 150-50 in the beginning, won the rest of them, never hit pity. It was a great summoning session and we got him up. So a couple of things I want everybody to understand before I even start this conversation or this video. It's 4 in the morning, and if I make any mistakes, I apologize. I've been up for a long time and I've got to go to bed for an hour. I wanted to make this video before I went to bed. So first off, is Christopher Reed worth it? We're going to go over some numbers. I'll talk about that shortly, but I want to give you a little bit of a summary of what to expect when you're going into this mindset. Yes, he's a national level hunter. Yes, he will do good damage. Is he the best fire damage dealer? Absolutely not. We've talked about this before, and we said that Fern is going to still be the best fire damage dealer, and in fact, she continues to still be the best fire damage dealer. But that doesn't take away from the crazy amount of damage he does as a support unit first. So a couple things to note here when you're looking at this. They've added a couple new fields to the game. Right here you can see he is in fact an elemental accumulation unit and a support specialist, right? And his job is actually a fire elemental stacker. So he's a stacker first. He's not meant to be a prime DPS, right? National level hunters can be supports as well. Thomas Andre DPS. Christopher Reed, a little bit more of a support, but still a prime DPS. So a couple things to say here about this unit. If you're going to be brand new player and you want to utilize him, the main thing to note is he does work best around a fire team because he amplifies the fire team's damage using the new overload mechanic. If you don't have a fire team, you may want to reconsider. If you want to build a fire team, he's a great piece to have. What are the best fire teams to use around him? Okay, I'm going to break this one down as well because this is important. If you were a long-time player and you did summon for collabs, the best teams for him when it comes down to overall usage is going to be Fern as the main DPS, him as the secondary DPS and support, and then lastly Yuki. These three are going to be your best fire units to use together. Of course, if you have Freerin, she can replace Fern if there's no break damage, right? You still want to have a breaker, guys. Still very important to have a breaker. Overload does have a massive cooldown, which you'll have to deal with if you don't have a breaker. So bring a breaker when there is a break bar required. So this is the 3 best units right now. And unfortunately, it does require 2 collabs. Okay, now if you don't have the collabs and you're brand new and you want to build a team around C. Reed, then your other best options are going to be C. Reed as your main DPS. Yes, he does outdamage Yusuyun. Yes, he does outdamage Kanae. So it's going to be Reed as your main DPS and your overload unit. Then you're going to have Gina as your support, right? So you're going to have Gina as your support unit here, which will amplify his damage even further, plus whoever else you use. So Gina as your second. And then lastly, it's going to be Essel, right? Again, you would have missed Stark. You would have missed Yuki. You don't have them. So those are the 2 best fire teams. Collab, without collab. Very important to remember. Okay. Now, a couple other things to note here. His best gear. Sorry, that was literally an unintentional zoom in. It is what it is. That was actually unintentional. Okay. So a couple things you need to note about him. So A3 is the sweet spot for newer players. A5, you absolutely want to get to A5. Now, the sets you want to use for him, there's 4 variations of sets you want to use for him. So one hit kill at A5 with Obsidian works really well. Iron Will works better still with Obsidian. So Iron Will and Obsidian work best for him so far, we've noticed with numbers. And then of course for team battles, you can also use 8-piece Infamy or 4-piece Infamy, 4-piece Obsidian. Those are the best sets. As for cores, okay, the best core to have for him is not this one, the Nameless Demon's Deception, although it is the second best core for him. The best core... Oh, so sorry, guys. Oh my God. dying. The best core for him to use actually is the crit core. So if you don't have it yet, you want to maybe farm it. I got to work on it on my free to play, but the crit core I'm referring to is going to be this one here, which gives him additional crit hit rate by 10%. Most of your DPS and supports who are partial DPSs are going to want to use this. The secondary core here, you can use two different ones. He's very, very good with MP. Very good with MP. So you don't need that. You can put the ultimate skill grants a shield, but at A3 he gets a shield already, but you can still use this if you want, because when you cast your ultimate, you go back to normal mode without the shield, and this will give you an extra shield to kind of work with. So it's not a bad one to have. And over here, you don't have to use the MP core reduction one, the purple one. You can if you want to, but you can also use the ultimate skill recovers 5% of MP because he does it so often. And then, I mean, there's other options as well, but I believe these are some of the better ones to choose from for his cores, okay? So those are essentially what you want to work with. Yes, you want to get his weapon to A5, and his main focus here, guys, is going to be defense. So his defense, you want to have roughly about 45 to 46k. I mean, honestly, with my stats, depending on what I'm using, like this one was 44.9, so 45, let's say. This one's 43. Iron Will has lower stats and actually ended up doing better overall. And then you want to focus also, of course, on his crit rate being around, the 50% mark. And then you want to do the crit damage roughly about 200%, defense pen, and then damage increase roughly, if you can get it around 25% a pop or above, is going to matter quite a bit. So that's going to be all important for him, of course. And these are things you want to keep in mind. So the way he functions, it's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to walk you guys through some of the gameplay here, and I will do it on a strategy training boss here, so you guys understand how he works. Okay, so here's the team. Now remember, at A4, he does give your units more firepower, and he gets more firepower himself. Okay, so we're going to jump in here, and I'll show you guys how to use him and how you want to work around him. Okay, so we're going to use Yuki here just to throw in a couple buffs. Or debuffs, I mean. So you guys can see the opponent already has the debuffs. So we're going to bring him in. Now, a couple things to note about him. If the boss is not moving like this, there's a problem. So you want to change the settings here. We're actually going to make him attack us, okay? And there's a reason why, because there's a move that he does that's going to make a difference. And it's right here, this football move. I don't know if you guys saw it. It's a QTE on the side. It's an RT button for me, which is the right trigger. Whenever it's on a cooldown, but he can cast this extra move that does damage. So here's his goal. You guys can see him at 4% right now, right? So my goal here as a infuser is to build that core up right there. 1, 2, boom. And then now when I hit my core, I become the transformation version. You guys can see now my attack and everything has gone up. Everything moves up in terms of damage, but the only way to build that extra amount is you want to build it with your skills. Okay, so we're going to do the football skill, 96%. And look, you want to do your ultimate whenever the overload is there, because the ultimate does that much more damage. So as soon as overload hits, you do your ultimate, get out and put in your main DPS. Now they take pure advantage of the overload for the next 10 seconds, right? So now Fern is going to be able to now do as much damage as she possibly can with the overload intact. So very, very important to remember that. So with a couple of things to note about him is you want to make sure that whenever you have the ability to use overload, you bring in your DPS after you do your ult, specifically after you do your ult. And the main thing to remember is you want to do evasions with him as much as you can in order to take advantage of that football skill, right? Here, look at that right there. Extra damage coming through. And then transform, look, 35%. Again, make sure you cast your ultimate only when your overload is available, or if you can do that, that's the ideal situation. Because again, you will be doing as much damage, more damage with that overload than not having it available with your ultimate, right? So it's almost there. We're gonna do it right here. Overload's up, ultimate cast, right? Do your ultimate. He goes back into his regular mode. Bring Fern in for 10 seconds. And now for 12 seconds, 11 seconds, there we go. There's the 10 seconds. You have full advantage of her and the pure overload DPS. And yes, overload DPS is a lot, guys. It does do a lot. I'll show you guys some numbers in a second in terms of our guild boss numbers, but it does make a huge difference. All right, so that's how you want to run with him, and that will make majority of the actual damage. So let's go look at some numbers, right? We always do this in every single testing. Let's look at some numbers, and I'll show you guys what we did. So stats, this is some of the stats you see here. I'll put this down for a second. So these are, don't ignore this. This was just the set we used. This was the one-hit kill with the Obsidian set for A0. So A0, he did a couple different numbers. They were very consistent. 2.6 billion was the first full 3-minute fight. Then at A2, we skipped A1 because it wasn't much of a damage increase. A2 also wasn't. It was only 2.9. And that was pretty consistent across the board. I just didn't record the other ones. But at A3, it went up over double. So you can see A3 was massive. And then A5, of course, it did want to go up as well too. This was solo without a team. This was with a team. So you can see the numbers skyrocketed with the team. And then Fern A5 without overload. And then with A5 overload, she killed it. So very, very important to remember. Overload does do quite a bit. So here's the various different piece results. A piece infamy, this is the numbers here, right? You guys can kind of see them. Let me zoom in a little bit more. You guys can see the numbers there. And this is, of course, with him in the team. So infamy, these were the numbers. With 4-hit kill and 4 obsidian, these were the numbers. Again, very close. And then Iron Will and Obsidian did the best at 6.08. Again, this can be attributed to a lot of RNG because they're so close numbers. If it was a couple more billion, I'd say, okay, there's a clear winner. But I think depending on your stats and what you're using, they all are very viable. Now, we did it without overload. Let's see what the numbers look like without overload. Look at this. So we took him out and look at the numbers. We went down to, I believe, RC 68. And then with him here, we did RC. This is without Fern. So you can see he still does fairly decent numbers without Fern. But with Fern, we did about roughly, so we went from 68 RC over to 77 to 78 RC as free to play. So very, very big difference, guys. Almost a 10 RC difference in the guild boss. And it's a pretty massive amount of damage coming through with overload there. So overload is a real thing. I still think there could be room for improvement on my gameplay personally, and also on the way he's structured. But overall, Christopher Reed, if you plan to build a fire team, is a must-have unit for that team, not only because of the damage he brings, but also the new mechanics he brings. And the new mechanics, of course, are what Netmarble's aiming at as being some of the better mechanics. All right, folks, there you guys have it. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe. Remember to support your boy in the support program. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, everybody.